And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
Salutations, listeners and fans. So happy to have you joining us on this off-season odyssey with the RBLR Buccaneers crew. I'm one of your trusty co-captains on this RBLR pirate ship. To our returners, you are fighting a good fight. I know you are, and I promise we will get through this together. And to our first-time listeners, if you like what you hear, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Well, folks, last week's number was 66, and this week's number is 59. That's right, folks. We are in the 50s, and before you know it, it'll be the 40s, 30s, 20s, and then the 10s, and then bam! Next thing you know, you're seeing Graham Barton catching a TD on August 10th along with 5 Tyke Smith interceptions. Okay, maybe that may not happen, but there's no reason to be fired up, especially y'all Tampa Bay fans. We got some Rowdies action going on, some Rays action going on, and on top of that, we got our new Tampa Bay women's soccer team, the Tampa Bay Sun. And there's absolutely no reason you shouldn't be fired up right now, because coming in hot is the dynamic duo, the duos that dream of being this kind of duo. All right. I've said this before, and honestly, I kind of like it, so I'm going to do it again. To my right, we got Zone Blitz Zach.
I love
Zach,
it. I love
what's
it.
going on, man?
Man, it's good to be back, brother. It was a nice little time away. I say away for you guys. I guess I was right in your backyard, but for me, it was away. Got to go to Florida last week. It was nice to spend time with some family, but now I'm just happy to be back with this family. You know,
Right on, man.
I know, right from the heart, right from the heart.
Wow. Hey, could have come to my front yard and said what's up, but
you know, I tried set up something up with our producer, but we were so damn busy while we were there, dude. I didn't even know we had all the plans that we had when we got there.
No, I don't blame you. Yeah, man, Florida's popping. And yeah, to my left, you can't see it right now, but you best believe it. Walking in with that Tampa Bay charisma and the custom-made RBLR peg leg, we got corner blitz Carter Brantley. Carter, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing much. I don't know if we sell RBLR themed peg legs.
Not yet.
That's not yet. Right. We're definitely getting there. We'll get there soon. But yeah, excited to be on and talk some Bucs football with y'all. Like you said, every day we're one day closer. So you know, it's a grind. It's a battle. I don't know. I'm being kind of dramatic about the fact that it's just the NFL offseason, but still, it sucks not being able to watch football. So, you know, so hopefully it'll come sooner than we think. But until then, we've got some great Bucs stuff coming up, and you know, like Musab said, definitely stick around because we've got some great content coming in. And we'll start with some kind of rough news, kind of awkward, weird, whatever adjective you want to use to describe it. Randy Gregory is an unexcused absence this week. He's got a lawsuit going on with the NFL. It's a discrimination suit based on fines that he was assessed for the substance abuse program that the NFL has in place. He's no longer being suspended. He had to go through that earlier in his career, but now he's being fined. He was being fined for it last week. So now he's not showing up to the practices this week, and it's an unexcused absence according to Todd Bowles. So I don't know. Are y'all concerned about this? Are y'all kind of like, well, you know, he's a veteran. He knows what to do. Like, he doesn't really need this stuff anyways. He'll be back in time. Or are you concerned that maybe this is a sign that, ooh, man, maybe Randy Gregory's not gonna play this season? I don't know. Mr. Blaine, we'll start with you, man. What were your thoughts on this incident, if you want to call it that?
Yeah, right off rip, I was like, maybe it's something with his legal issues. I guess not really his issues, but the legal proceedings of the issues that he's having. But I guess the more I look at it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for him not to be there. So it kind of worries me with how irritated Bowles looked when he was talking about it, or how irritated he came across, I should say. I mean, I'm worried that maybe he's not a difference maker, so he's not guaranteed to be on the team, if that makes sense at all.
Right.
So, like, had he been a massive free agent signing, had he been Chase Young as reference, like,
Right.
then I'd have been like, there's no way he's not on the team. It's all right. He's a veteran. But with it being a 1-year deal and him being Randy Gregory, I'm like, oh, there's a chance he's not on the team this upcoming season.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a bit of a situation to monitor for sure. Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's not. Yeah, he's not a superstar. He's
Yeah.
not exactly Micah Parsons or yeah, either the Bosa brothers or fill in the blank elite pass rusher. He's kind of been brought in for his experience and
Yep.
maybe for his know-how, more of a backup place that he's in. So yeah, his roster spot is certainly up in the air, especially with this recent stuff. Maybe the Bucs decide that it's it's just not working out, and maybe they do decide to move on. We'll have to see. Mr. Tariq, though, maybe you're a little bit more optimistic. Maybe you're like, hey, this is just a little side mission, side story. This isn't really a big deal. He'll be back eventually. How do you feel about this situation?
I mean, I never knew too much about the guy, when we first got him. And I was like, all right, I mean, the guy's got some experience and all that, but I obviously was aware about his issues. But I'm also not going to act like I know everything that's going on with him right now. But I mean, what's going on is, yeah, it's unexcusable, and it's kind of sketchy, and it's kind of odd and stupid or disappointing, actually. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Disappointing. You're in the NFL. You have a lot of resources to kind of work these things out or seek help and stuff like that with whatever you're doing. And I mean, if you're not even showing up to practice and stuff like that, I mean, especially if, I mean, this is a new team, you're on a prove it deal. I mean, these are the kind of opportunities that, you want to take advantage of, especially when you know that, your roster spot is not guaranteed, So yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean that's really all there is to say. It's kind of a tough situation. I mean, it's kind of worrisome because this pass rush is not not great to begin with. Not that it's Randy Gregory raises the ceiling of it very much, but he was at least another change of change of pace, I guess you could say. He was just another look for
Yeah.
offensive linemen on opposing teams to worry about. And him not being here is not being at practices, not being wherever he is. Maybe he is in Tampa. I don't know, but yeah, him not being at practices are certainly a tough start to his
For-
Bucs tenure.
For me, it's not even necessarily him not being there. It's the no communication.
Right? Yeah, that's
Bowles said that he didn't even know he wasn't going to be there.
right.
So unless that's just a miscommunication and someone else knew, like the concerning part is the fact that he's not communicating with the team that gave him the prove it deal. Like that seems selfish to me.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing it, with with Aaron Rodgers right now. He's not at practice. He's somewhere else.
But
No one
communicated.
seems to really know where. But he's going through his own thing. But unfortunately, Randy Gregory is not Aaron Rodgers. He's not the starting quarterback, so he doesn't have nearly as much leeway, obviously. So it's kind of an interesting situation to say the least. But yeah, I thought that was, it's a tough way to start the show. But hey, it's a story and it needs to be discussed. But on more positive terms, Vita Vea, he came out. I mean, I know there is always the best shape of his life stories every year, but he appears to be a lot slimmer. It's been noticeable by coaches, by the media, etc. So he wants to be faster, and apparently his goal was to be able to play more on third downs. Not just be kind of a first down, second down, and then get off the field type of guy. More of a 3-down threat on that defensive line. So what are y'all's thoughts on this? I mean, there's really only good things, hopefully, but maybe you're concerned that it'll change his play style too much, or maybe that's not even a thought in your mind. Mr. Tariq, we'll start with you. Give me something on this Vita Vea weight loss thing, if you want to call it that.
Not too much to say. Nothing too. I mean, nothing concerning. Of course, I'm happy to hear that. He's slimming down and he wants to play. Yeah, he wants to be like a 3-down kind of guy. Makes me more excited just because we know what Vita Vea is capable of doing.
Absolutely. Yeah, not really much else to say. Short and to the point. I love it. Yeah, I mean, Vita Vea is great. If he's happy, I'm happy. You know what I mean? It's like if he's comfortable with it, that's all there really is to it. But Mr. Blaine, maybe you're sometimes the glass half empty kind of guy. So maybe you can be the pessimist in the group, or maybe you're with me and Miss Musab and myself.
Let's do it then, because I'm a little okay. First off, good for him. 30
sure.
pounds. I think he's lost when he set his playing weight last year and this year. I think it's like 20 or 30 pounds. Like that's a big chunk of weight. Like,
For sure.
good for him. It worries me a little bit because I'd rather have 2 dominant downs as opposed to 3 not as dominant downs. And
Right.
I feel like a 30-pound weight difference is a pretty significant weight difference as far as putting that weight onto somebody.
Yeah, it's a good point.
So I'm not necessarily worried about Vita. He's an all-pro in my eyes, so I'm not worried about him being able to play well. I just think that it will change his play style up a little bit with it being that big of a weight difference.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not too much, like you said. Hopefully he's still able to provide, a lot of power, effort, and energy on those first 2 downs. But in my thought process, kind of to play devil's advocate on that, maybe it will allow him to play at an even higher level for all 3 downs.
And that is a very viable option of
For
something
sure.
to pick, because I don't foresee him being bad. Like, I feel like I got to reiterate that he's not going to be a bad player even with the weight loss. It's just something that crossed my mind when I first read it. I was like, he's our nose tackle. Like, those are the big guys, the beefy guys. Outside of Aaron Donald, you don't see nose tackles that are like ripped or skinny. You know what I
Right.
mean?
That's
Like,
a good point.
they're normally the big, when I think of defensive tackle, I think Vince Wilfork. Like,
Right.
that's my go-to. Albert Hainsworth, like, just those big meaty guys. Ooh, no, not gonna say that on live. Just those big dudes,
Hey, they're big meaty fellas. They got some beef. They're big dudes. It's definitely accurate. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he changes the dynamic of the defense with that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, hopefully it's changing for the good, and not hopefully it's not a regression. Or injury. I mean, that's obviously the worst case scenario, and
Yeah.
maybe it'll have nothing to do with the slimming down. But yeah, hopefully he can stay healthy, because if he stays healthy, then shoot, it won't even really be an issue. But some more good news for the Bucs, maybe not good news or great news, but news for sure. I thought it was good news. Maybe Zach will poo-poo it, I'm sure. But Sterling Shepard, he is joining the squad. I want to hear y'all's thoughts on Sterling Shepard being kind of a depth piece, maybe competing for that third wide receiver slot. And what do you think the Baker connection is? Do you think it's a big deal, or maybe you're kind of like, who cares? Just because they played together in college doesn't really mean anything. That's almost a decade ago. Well, maybe not a decade, but it was a long time ago for sure. So Zach, you're the resident Baker Mayfield expert. So what are your thoughts on him reuniting with a former Oklahoma Sooner teammate?
I think it was 10 years ago, actually. I
Man,
think it was spot on,
Wow.
because Baker played with Sterling. It was Sterling's senior year. Baker had just transferred from Texas Tech to Oklahoma.
oh man, sounds like you're writing a biography.
Okay. First off, here we go. I know y'all gave me crap in the chat when I said something about the signing. It's a good signing. I like Sterling Shepard. He's a good player. He's a solid player. My only issue is that this is one more receiver in a receiver room that I already thought was kind of deep, not deep necessarily like with stud players, but deep. And then we've got, like, I'm trying to think how to say it. Our depth is there. We might not have 3 number 1 receivers on the roster, but we've got enough to fill in for injury if we lose one. You know what I'm saying? So, I still would have liked the corner more, but I'm happy with the Sterling Shepard signing. I don't know that he pushes for wide receiver 3. I think that's McMillan at this point, but
That's fair.
I do think that he gets playing time, and I do think that he helps develop some of these younger guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the kind of the big picture goal for him, is to
Yeah.
kind of move things along for McMillan and Palmer and stuff like that. But my only kind of, I think that there was a roster spot for him. Like, I think that now the Bucs have a solid 5 wide receivers that I don't want to say are guaranteed to make the roster, but it would be very surprising if all 5 of them didn't make the roster. And Evans, Palmer, Godwin, McMillan, and now Shepard. So that's 5, right?
Yeah. See, I agree with you. I think those 5 are almost guaranteed a roster spot.
Right.
Now, again, I've said it. I don't think it happens, but this makes Godwin even more tradable if we want to get out of, his contract. He's a free agent next year. We could lose him for nothing. I don't think we will. Like, I can't stress that enough. Again, I don't think we're going to trade him, and I don't think we lose him. I think he comes back after next season. But now we're looking all right if we happen to get an offer for him that we couldn't turn down.
Yeah, and I just my only pushback on that is just I don't think the Bucks get that offer. I don't think they get like maybe they'll get a sixth round pick for him if they traded him right now, but even that might be a stretch. So it's just like why give up a sixth round pick for a guy that could maybe get you 1,000 yards receiving. So it's kind of a tough balance, a delicate balance to walk. To be able to be competitive right now, but also wanting to continue to stockpile draft picks and such. But Mr. Tariq, what were your thoughts on this deal? I mean, you think that Baker connection is a big deal, or maybe you're kind of shrugging your shoulders? But give me something on the Sterling Shepard deal.
I think that little Baker connection is cool. I don't think it's a
That's a
big
good way to put
deal. I think him joining our team is a nice little veteran depth piece. I think we already got a nice set of wide receivers, and I think it's good just because in case somebody does go down in front of him, there he is. So I like it for the depth reasons. Again, experience. I think he still has that talent, even though he's kind of being seen as old, I guess, in NFL terms. But I think he'll still be able to contribute something. So, I mean, I'm very optimistic about this. And like Zach said, I mean, I think this was kind of like the last little puzzle piece to our wide receiver room, or at least being comfortable with our wide receiver room.
Yeah, and his main concern recently has been health. So I mean, even if he gets
Yeah.
banged up and he's unable to play a whole lot, then that's why they have Palmer and McMillan. It's not really that big of a deal. So, and they're not. I'm sure it's not a huge financial commitment either. So it seems like a low risk, high reward kind of situation. Where at best you get a really solid number 3 who maybe gets you 700 or 800 yards this year, but at worst, he's injured most of the year and you don't really see or hear from him very much, which is fine too. They've got young guys that they probably want to develop anyways. But if you're looking for something else to develop your wardrobe, if you're looking for something that's going to take that wardrobe to the next level, not just a Sterling Shepard type of edition, but a Mike Evans, Antoine Winfield Jr. type of edition, definitely got to head to shop.rblrsports.com. We've got Rays, Bucks, Lightning, and Rowdy gear. It's fantastic. We've got it all Tampa Bay sports related, and we'll give you a promo code since we're in the depths of the off season. And it's kind of a bummer. That's Cannon, CANNONS. You type that promo code in, and you'll get 10% off your entire order. All right, so it's been a while. I know we did this during the season a lot, and it was pretty fun. So I thought I'd bring it back, but have it be an off-season edition. Way too early for this, but hey, why not? So we're gonna go for season over unders, not just individual games or anything like that, but actually season wide statistics. So we'll start it off with the best one because it's the most fun and it's the easiest. Mike Evans, 1,000 yards. Does he hit it? And not only does he hit it again, does he go over, under, or well, if he doesn't hit it, then he has to go under. Sorry about that. But does he hit it? That's basically the question. Zach, we'll start with you, man. What are your thoughts on Mike Evans and 1,000 yards? Will he extend the streak?
Yeah, it's getting extended. I mean, I don't think there's not a doubt. Barring any injuries, if I had to say right now, he's breaking 1,000 yards.
Wow. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's a solid prediction. Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? Over under on 1,000 yards from Mike Evans.
I'm going over for Big Mike. I feel like people in the past have thought that he was gonna slow down. I don't see any slowing down anytime soon, especially not this year. So yeah, count me in on the over. What about you, Carter?
I'm also going to go over. I think that the need is there. It's not like the Bucks don't have they he's their best wide receiver by far and away, and him and Baker seem to have a good nice Texas connection if you want to throw it back there. And he just signed that new contract. I'm sure he's in very good spirits. So yeah, like you said, barring any health concerns, which knock on wood, or if you want to, whatever the case may be, he hasn't really had a whole lot. He's been relatively healthy throughout his whole career. So that's not necessarily something that I really foresee happening. And let us know what you think. If you're in this show right now and you're looking to comment, maybe you disagree. Maybe you think this is the year that Mike Evans falls off a cliff for whatever reason. Feel free to let us know. Reply with what you think about this 1,000 yard over under for Mike Evans. All right, so we're going to go to another wide receiver. We're going to go with Chris Godwin, but we're going to lower the bar a little bit because it's Chris Godwin. He's not quite Mike Evans, but he's still really darn good. So his over underline for me, I'm not looking at Vegas. This is just personal stuff. This is just me off the cuff because I'm not a big Vegas guy, but 800 yards for Chris Godwin, over under. Musab Tariq, what are your thoughts?
I'm not a big Vegas guy, but I'm a big Tampa guy. I'll tell you that. But
for sure.
No, but on the real though, I see him going over. I mean,
Right.
he's hit the over. Again, why slow down now? I feel like more than anything now with us, having Baker a couple years, he is now our leader. You got Mike now and Chris Godwin. This is going to be the little, I think, iconic trio, if you ask me. I'm honestly really optimistic about it.
Wow. Hey, fair enough.
Yeah,
I like it.
seriously.
I like it a lot. I'm going to go over as well. I'm with you. I think that this dynamic trio, if you want, or the terrific trio, we got to come up with a better nickname. But yeah, they're fantastic, and I think they're only going to grow more comfortable with each other because this is their second year together. I'm excited to see what Liam Cohen can bring to this offense. We'll see how he's able to utilize Chris Godwin. It felt like Godwin was a little lost at times last year in Dave Canales' system, although he still certainly got his. He certainly racked up his yardage and racked up his usual statistics, so good for him.
I usually only had 2 touchdowns.
But he racked up 1,024 yards.
Exactly.
So
we're not talking about touchdowns right now because
over's over, baby.
For sure.
Now he can only play slot.
Well, right. Well, we'll see. I still think over, but Zach, it sounds like you disagree. What are your thoughts on Chris Godwin?
I am not high on Godwin. I don't hate him or anything like that. I just don't think that he's nowhere near the best number 2 receiver in the league, in my opinion.
Sure.
And I don't see him breaking 800 yards, not with the young guys we have coming up who I think are going to be more explosive. And in addition to the Sterling Shepard signing, I think there's too many mouths that need to be fed. And Evans is our number 1, so he's going to get fed first. And I don't think that Godwin is going to be a clear-cut number 2 to feed the ball to, if that makes sense. Like he's our number 2 receiver, but I don't think that when it comes to Baker throwing him the ball, I don't think Baker's going to be like, I got to get it to Godwin. Which is what happened a lot last year. We saw him forcing it to Godwin because, if I'm not mistaken, there was a point last season where Godwin was bitching and complaining that he didn't get allegedly.
I think the comments were from his wife, and I think it was that Todd Bowles said some things that were just plain out not true about it. Like he was like, oh, well, we couldn't use Godwin that much because he was kind of banged up when like the snap counts came out, and it was like Chris Godwin played almost every snap. So it was like, no, that's not it. You're just not using him. Like it was just a weird situation. But I feel you. It was a weird situation because his wife.
It was an awkward situation all around. I don't think. I'm curious to see how Cohen uses him because, like I said, as far as I can tell, he's only a slot receiver, and I feel like last time the last like only slot receiver that I can think of outside of maybe Cooper Kupp, I feel like he's only a slot receiver. Was Hunter Renfrow, and Hunter Renfrow is no longer even in the league. So like.
Adam Thielen was a good slot receiver for a while. Deebo Samuel lines up in the slot for
Deebo Samuel lines up everywhere though. Like,
for sure.
That's my issue with Godwin is that we put him outside, he gets lost. You put him at slot, he's a solid slot receiver. He's a very good slot receiver, but it just makes you one-dimensional in my eyes.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like, you can be a jack of all trades, master of none type of dude, or you can really hone in on one specific skill. And it does feel like Godwin has certainly done that. Absolutely. But, you can see it as a negative because, he doesn't have a lot of versatility. So, if you have to force him outside because of injuries or what have you, then, it can get ugly. But, if you play him properly and stuff.
But I have to ask, I mean, Zach, have you always thought this about Godwin, that he's never had that kind of versatility?
Yeah,
I have to ask. I mean, the last what, like 1, 2, like I'm looking at the stats right now, actually, and the last 6, 7 seasons. I mean, he's hit the over on 800. So I just want to ask, what makes you think that he's not just going to do it again? If you just think that he's
2 seasons, we haven't had that great of a run game, so a lot of our receivers are hitting really high numbers. And if Cohen wants to run the ball better, that means we're going to run the ball more. But with that being said, I've never been as high on Godwin as everybody else. I don't know. I can't put a finger on exactly what it is. I I guess I'm not a. I think it's got to be the lack of versatility in Godwin for me. Like, and it's not. Again, I can't stress it enough. I don't think he's a bad player. I just don't think he's a $20 million receiver.
Sure. Yeah,
Like
I
Right.
think that's fair.
Yeah, I
that's
agree
kind
with
of my
that.
issue. He's always been a high cap hit. Well, not always, but once he started getting his he got his extension. It was what, 3 years, 60 million. Um,
I'm not sure. I don't have the
me
figure.
that was an overpay, and I felt that way. I think that was when I started going, oh God, I would trade him. Like I wouldn't pay him 20 mil a year.
Yeah, it is 3 years, 60 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to make the argument that he's slightly overpaid, maybe there's something there. That's certainly the case. But you got to overpay sometimes to keep guys. Sometimes you got to overpay what his market value actually is, because otherwise you'll lose him to another team that will overpay him. So yeah, it's kind of a tough balance to walk sometimes. So yeah, I feel you. He's probably not quite worth what he's getting paid.
And then on top of that, he deals with injuries a lot too.
That's true. That's true. He does
So
get a little banged up every now and
and I'm
then.
not
But
like, he doesn't miss extended periods of time or anything, but I
right.
mean, there's times where we miss a game or two here and there, and I don't know. I don't see 800 yards out of him this year. Not with the
Yeah,
weapons that we have. Weapons.
fair enough. Well, hey, hopefully you're wrong, because then it'll
I
mean,
agree.
hopefully you're right or wrong, but hopefully the reason that you're right is because that the Bucks have so many weapons that they've got 2 or 3 other guys getting 500 yards. So Chris
Yeah.
Godwin has to go back to 600 yards, whatever the case may be. Yeah, I mean, they can certainly be successful even if he doesn't hit the 800-yard mark. That's for sure. But if he does, then I have a hard time seeing this offense not being successful. So we'll see. If Chris Godwin's good, the Bucks offense is good. If he's not, the Bucks offense can still be good. That's okay. But we'll just have to wait and see how he adapts to this new offense, like you said, under Cohen. But another guy who's looking to adapt to this offense and kind of maybe looking to change his role a little bit or maybe stay the same. Rachaad White, he was the best receiving back in the NFL last year. But my goodness, they just couldn't run the ball, unfortunately. So he did not have a lot of success in that department. So I'm not going to go just straight rushing yards on this one. I'm going to go all purpose. So I'm going with 1,200 all purpose yards for Rachaad White. I am going under. I love him to death. I think he's fantastic. But I do think that, I think he shares a little bit with Bucky Irving a little bit more this year. I think Chase Edmonds, if he stays healthy, I think it's more of a committee thing. He was able to kind of not inflate his stats quite a bit, but he was able to take advantage of the fact that the Bucs just didn't really have anybody else in that backfield that was competent. And he did a great job. He took the opportunity and ran with it. But I think they're going to look to maybe have it a little bit more balanced, so he's a little bit more effective, because he did have a little bit of an efficiency problem last year. So I'm going to go with the under on the 1,200 all-purpose yards. Zach, I know you're a big Rachaad White fan, so what's your view on this? Over under
My favorite player, brother.
for
He's my
sure, for sure.
player on the Bucks. Under. Yeah.
Under.
But not for any fault of his own. I agree with you that I think we kind of overlooked the Bucky Irving draft pick. And from everything that I'm kind of seeing, it's going to be a split backfield back there with him and Rachaad White. And I wouldn't – no, I would be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if he had more receiving yards and rushing yards this year, but I would be surprised if that was the case. I do think he comes out and is still a very good receiving back, if not the best receiving back in the league. Well, second best. I'm not going to put him over McCaffrey.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
I'll put him at second best.
For sure.
But I think that Bucky's going to be our power back, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, hopefully Bucky can put on some weight and turn into that kind of guy. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's a very air quotes power back.
Right. No, I feel you.
More of the between the tackle back is I
Right.
guess a better version.
For sure. All right, Mr. Tariq, how about you, man? What are your thoughts on
Yeah,
this?
you had me puzzled for a second when he said Bucky Irving power back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a bit of a
Wrong wording for sure. As soon as I said
Yeah,
no, that's not true.
that was like Inception in my mind or something, Anyways, I'm going over, and I'll tell you why. Listen, I was never like too big on Bucky Irving. I think he's super fast, and I think he's a great pass catcher. But isn't that what Rachaad White does well already? Rachaad White does go down. I think he'd be a good kind of replacement. But I think that as time goes on, I don't think at least his first year he's going to be like a super dependable backup running back, someone who can actually really take the load off of Rachaad White. I think he can kind of just make things easier. He will definitely make things easier for sure, but I still think Rachaad White's going to be the guy. I think his versatility with, being a good pass catcher. And then I think we're going to work, we have to work something out, with the run game. Okay. It's obvious that, we're focused on Rachaad White. He is our running back, I don't want to say star running back, but he is our running back.
He's RB1. He's our RB1.
Yeah, exactly. He's RB1. We got to prioritize that. And especially knowing how embarrassing our run game was last year. I know Liam Cohen's, got some tricks up his sleeve. And I think actually I did see some article or online, I'm forgetting where, but they had mentioned that Rachaad White said that it's definitely different. I don't want to quote him exactly, but I know he had mentioned that it's definitely different from last year for sure. So fingers crossed that he picks up the new kind of style of play and things go well. But yeah, I'm pretty confident on the over. But now thinking about it, I went over on all of these three guys, and it makes me think, am I really that high on the Buccaneers? I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Hey, in your defense, these are realistic over-unders.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, because I think Rachaad White, I think he had over 1,400.
Yeah,
he had 1,400. So, yeah.
All these guys were well over the overs last year.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, that's the good news. And that's kind of why I wanted it that way, because, they all had pretty productive years last year. Like the Bucs were a decent offense last year, especially through the air. So, definitely realistic goals. I didn't want to.
One more time for me, especially through the air.
Yeah, especially through the air. Yeah, they were great last year. Hey, for sure. But you know what they weren't good at is running the ball. So you know what that encouraged them to do is draft an interior offensive lineman.
I hate you.
And you know who's going to get a red zone catch touchdown, August 10th. Like
Graham
I mentioned
Barton.
already.
You're going to hear 53 is reporting as eligible, 53 is reporting as eligible, and then Barton's just going to haul that bad boy in. But yeah, it would be wild to see a center make a.
That'd be the coolest thing in the world. I would be so pumped for that. But
highlight of the year for sure. Absolutely.
Maybe the run issues was the running back we had.
First thing I'm doing is if that happens, I'm calling you, Zach, and saying, that's why we drafted him. That's why. And before you even reply, I'm going to hang up. like an unknown number with like a smoky, like voice. Like, that's why. Probably call you through a payphone, in the random forest in Ocala.
Damn likely he's going to come up under my phone.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, good stuff. I guess one of the over-unders should have been receiving touchdowns for Graham Barton at 0.5. I guess that could be an over-under. Musab's hitting that, slamming that over. You gotta call Vegas right now. But anyways, our show's coming to a close. We really appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, if you like what you heard or you stuck around this long, definitely hit that like and subscribe button or give us a follow at RBLR Sports. We've got content like this coming out every week. We've also got great content across our channel, Rays stuff, Lightning, Rowdies. It's all amazing. And it's constant. We've always got some new stuff out. So definitely check us out there. But thank you again for tuning in and staying along with us. We'll have some more great stuff next week on the Bucs. And as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.